PSGL, George Morgan here and Jack Pinat. All the lights are currently lit here on track, and it is go, go, go!
Contact through the Mercedes teammate.
Denoso with a crafty manoeuvre up the inside. Masterclass from the Chilean.
Crucial championship points on offer here.
Do not count out Danny Berezne.
Longe has done the job. This is for the win between these two.
Freddie Rasmussen wins the United States Grand Prix.
Alfie Butcher wins for the first time ever. Lucas Blakely takes the championship. It's Barry Foreman.
Jarno Opmeer is your champion.
Good evening, welcome everyone. This is PSGL PCF4 and we're back with season 38 here in 2025. With just 3 rounds remaining before a champion is crowned, and boy, do we have a championship fight on our hands. But more about that in a bit. First of all, I'm your host for tonight. My name is Mitsky, and as always, joined here by Max. Max, how did the break treat you?
Hello, everybody. Pleasure to be back here in F4. Hello again, Myth. Pleasure to be back here this year. And yeah, the break treated me well. Of course, I would say a well-needed break after all the chaos we had with those last few rounds. So it gave us some time to just relax and get ready for 3 more rounds of action before the end of the season. And how did the break treat you, Myth? How are you back in 2025?
It was pretty good, nothing to complain about. Good celebration of the holidays and the new year. All safe and sound, all fingers intact, so nothing to worry about. And now we just have a wonderful month of January where the season is going to come to a conclusion tonight at Suzuka. And then we still have... Is it Vegas? It's Vegas, right?
Yeah.
Vegas,
Vegas
and Bahrain to round off the season. And I know that qualifying is about to get started, but we're quickly going to show you the standings just to remind you how close it actually is, because after a post-race penalty for Exafox, he's dropped 3 points further down, but that doesn't mean he's out of the fight yet. On the contrary, there is 7, maybe even 8 drivers that are still within the fight. Campbell Adams is now leading the championship. He hasn't won a race, but he has been the most consistent so far at 68 points. Then it's Dimas following on 65. Lighty is now on 62. He's making a pretty decent recovery. Then it's Exafox, who was leading the championship for a while, but then after a couple of DNFs and some races where he got penalties, including the last one, also a 10th place there, he's lost his championship lead now. He's 9 points down. Then it's Bogdan Moldovan. He is 13 points down. Isaac Leeds 14 down. Kai is 17 down, so he's on the cusp of falling out of contention. And then Gottschalk with that 13th place last time out in Saudi, 23 points behind, almost out of it, but of course with a good amount still to be given out in terms of points. There's still hope for him, but I think, Max, in the coming races, I think even tonight we're going to see that drop down from 8 to, should I say 7 or 6? What do you think?
I could actually say I still see all 8 still within the title fight, because of course this time last season, the man who's currently on the fringes of elimination, the man in that Mercedes, Daniel Gottschalk, actually won here in Japan last time out. So he is certainly somebody to watch this evening, looking to keep that Japan race win crown in his hands. But of course, here we are into qualifying. An interesting championship fight ahead of us. But the first driver to be setting a lap time is Bogdan Moldovan, the only driver to pick up 2 race wins this season. and he's looking to maybe make that a third. So for Bogdanis, he's heading through this first sector, now heading up through Dunlop Curve. Let's see what it is going to be in that first sector split. The V-carb now heading into Degner 1 and 2. 31.6 in that first sector, down to fourth gear. Very difficult through Degner 2 to get to pick the power back up, and also not to lock the rears as we head into the hairpin of turn 10, which I like to call the Kobayashi curve, as we exit out of there very smoothly indeed. So for Bogdan Moldovan, this is now a key run into a very key corner of the lap. Spoon curve. So down to 6th gear, run the car all the way out wide, then a little lift down to 5th, and then straight back on the power. Use all the circuit that you can to then get the best run possible up the hill once again and into one of the most famous corners in racing. 130R, it's flat out through here. Use all the skill, all your might through there to then get a good sling into the Casio triangle, down to 3rd gear, take a lovely amount of apex curb through the first and second parts of the chicane, heading through the final corner. The benchmark for everybody to beat, a 27.083. That is the gauntlet throw down, and it's already beaten by Dimas, and then Isaac Lee instantly into the 26s.
That is a great run from Isaac Lee, just showing that the championship competitors have come out to fight and are right there close to it. As Campbell Adams, he's had 2 poles this season already, and he currently goes fastest with a 26.820. As we saw Gottschalk make a mistake there, the Casio triangle, so he's going to dive it out into the pits. Exafox, the only driver off sync, he is now about to start his lap, so we're going to go on board with him so you can see a lap with him, as Paolo, Afonso, and Lighty have also aborted their laps. For Chris Bertsinski, he's been disqualified. I'm not entirely sure what happened there, but we're gonna have a look with Exafox as he makes it out of B corner and into the S curves. This is one of the most beautiful parts of the track. For this game though, the drivers have to lift a little bit more. We see the drivers not going flat out here, even though with these newer gen cars, it is pretty much flat out in real life, as he's now making his way to Degner. Has to shift back just a little bit, take an awful lot of curb there, slightly overshoots on the exit, just braking too late. Now making his way to the hairpin. Good braking there, early curb on the entry, and a good exit, so a pretty decent run for Exafox down through 130R. 200R, sorry, before he heads into Spoon, which is 13 here and 14 left, the second one, as he gets on the power early. A little wiggle on exit, but making his way down the back stretch, that very long straight to the 130R. Used to be much more of a daring corner. Nowadays, it's just easy flat out without worrying too much. Now braking into the Casio triangle. That's a tough one. That's an awful lot of curb too. Does not invalidate his lap, so that's good for Exafox. Keeps it tight to the line, and that is a 27.0, which is enough for now for P5.
Good lap time there from the Red Bull man. Well, I say Red Bull man. He should really be in an Aston Martin. I think we loaded into the lobby before he was able to pick a car. So, of course, it automatically put him into the Red Bull. So expect a change of car heading into the Grand Prix for Exafox, and see him go from the Red Bull colours to British Racing Green of Aston Martin. So, yeah, that could play a part in this Grand Prix as well. Of course, Exafox, if he gets comfortable in that Red Bull, he could easily lose a bit of time when he has to switch back to his normal Aston Martin. But now, all eyes turn attention to the next 3 drivers on their out laps. One of them being last time out, not last week's race winner. That is Lighty in the Alpine. He put himself into the championship fight with a stellar drive around Saudi Arabia, and is now looking to capitalise from that. So as he's heading through the Suzuka S's, nicely done through there. What's the first sector split going to be? So he's going to be aiming for about a 31.5, and he has got a 31.5. Heading into Degner 2 now. Lovely amount of inside curb, using all the circuit on corner exit. The most committed I've seen anybody so far in this session through Degner 2. Heading through the Kobayashi curb now. A bit of a tighter line compared to other drivers. That could affect his run out of the corner and into 200R. So as we head through here, up into Spoon curve, keep it all the way to the outside line. Lift off once again, using all the track. Very committed here from Lighty. He really is testing the limits of this Alpine. So we'll see what this middle sector split is going to be. 1 minute 10.5 was Exafox's. A 1 minute 10.3 here from the Alpine. We could see him shoot to the top of the times. And what a way to throw down a statement after a crazy and a brilliant win in Saudi Arabia. Can he pick up where he left off as he crosses the line? No, just misses out on a provisional pole position to Campbell Adams, but only 11 thousandths of a second separating that front row of the grid at the moment. Still though, plenty of time left in this session for improvements. 10 minutes left on the clock, and Paul Alfonso in the Aston Martin, he's invalidated. All eyes now to Daniel Gottschalk, the last time, the reigning race winner here around Japan. Where can he go? And he's Mercedes across the line. It's only good enough for 8 fastest, but look at that gap from Dimas all the way down to Gottschalk. 5 cars in the 27 zeros.
Yeah, I'm currently trying to see which driver we can pick up next, and I think that is going to be Bogdan Moldovan. The only car ahead of him currently is Kai, but he is on an outlap. Moldovan was half a tenth quicker in the first sector, which is also a 31.5, so right on that time that he needs to be if he wants to get anywhere near Campbell Adams. But the key will be here in sector 2. Can he get to the 10.5s as well? He does, and he's almost 2 tenths quicker, so he's going to get awfully close to that time, but needs to gain a little bit in that final sector. But given that time, he's about as fast as Lighty was there, still about half a tenth off of Lighty, so a better final sector might do. It's gonna come across the line, and he's just behind Lighty, only 100 separating them, but a great second run for Bogdan Moldovan. Let's see if we can pick up the other drivers, because we have a Red Bull behind. That is Dimas, but he is down a tenth and a half already, so we won't be spectating him further. But Isaac Lee just behind him, and he has set a purple sector 2, so he is on his way to take away that provisional pole from Campbell Adams. But by how much? Will it be a 26.7 or even better? It's a 26.7 indeed, and that's almost a tenth shaved off of Campbell Adams' lap time.
Yeah, brilliantly done there from Isaac Lee. Campbell Adams up only by 100th in that middle sector, heading through the final corner now, but elects to abort that lap. Alessandro Finn puts his Ferrari up into 5th place. There's a Mercedes of Lucas Bison to the line, 27.2 from him. Very close between this field. Finding a 10th, especially in that mid-pack so far, would easily gain you 4 or 5 places. But up at the top, there's an extra 2/10 deficit between Alessandro Finn and Bogdan Moldovan. The top 4 are somewhat breaking away from the rest of the field in this qualifying session. I say that, Kai shoots himself up into 5th place. So the top 5 all in the 0.8s or the 0.7s. Dennis Langrock now on a lap. No, he's actually on an in-lap, sorry. Is Dennis Langrock in the Alpine. I just saw him pushing forward, so I thought he was still on a timed lap. Exafox, once again, now heading through the Casio triangle. He is, of course, out of sync once more in that Red Bull, currently sitting on a 27.077. Finding a 10th will put him up into the top 6 and gaining 3 places in this session. So now heading through turn 1 and 2. Nicely coming through there, using all the curve on corner exits right now. Head through flat of the sticker left, or as we head through 5, then into 6, little lift, try and balance the car with that throttle as you now head up through Dunlop curve. So for Exafox, what's this going to be in the first sector? Will he be up or will he be down on his lap? He's down ever so slightly on his original flying lap. So as he heads through Degna 2, misses the apex ever so slightly, still should be on for a good run all the way up into turn 10. Late on the brakes, down to 3rd gear, then straight back on the power for the Red Bull as he then heads through 200R. Of course, it's flat through here. It's all about this run, all about focusing on your line up into Spoon Curve. Don't touch the grass on the outside, touches the curb on the inside though. That sends the car into a half slide and another big slide through the second part of Spoon. He's gone through the gravel, lucky to keep that car facing in the right direction and not hitting the wall, and that's that lap time done for Exafox. He was pushing too aggressively, took too much curb at the first part of Spoon, corrected it, and then the rear of the car just let go again in the second part. Unfortunate there for Exafox, but still enough time to come back in, go out for another run.
Yeah, we saw in turn 2, he slightly overshot it already, had a little wobble on the exit as well. And then just saving it there after the mistake in Spoon 1, recovering it only just in Spoon 2, but doing so well enough that he can continue his qualifying run and go for a final run later down the line, as we're currently watching Paulo Afonso go for his third attempt, but the first time to actually set a lap time. Has been struggling so far and takes a lot of grass there, a lot of sliding going on there, really struggling to keep the car on the track. And that's cost him 6/10 in the first sector already, but I wonder if he's going to set a banker lap at all, or if he's just going to bring it in to give him just enough time to go for a fourth and final opportunity. He's not slowing down, at least for now it seems. He still has used quite a bit of ERS and is using it still, so it looks like he will be continuing with his run for now. Needs to keep it safe through Spoon curves, missing the entrance, missing the apex on Spoon 2, so losing a little bit speed on exit as well. We're going for 10.5s, 10.3s is what Campbell Adams did here, and he's about 9/10s off there as Dimas currently goes quickest with a 126.6, completely missed that one, but he is only a 10th quicker than everyone else. That's a great run from the Red Bull driver. Afonso is going to go in, and Campbell Adams is about to finish his run. How much quicker will he be? This must be an improvement. Surely it is by 3/10 exactly. That's a 126.5. That is an absolutely amazing run from your championship leader.
Campbell Adams pulled that one out of the bag when he needed to the most. That is a lap time that might not be beaten for the rest of the 3 minutes and 45 seconds in this session. That was the gauntlet being thrown down from the championship leader. He may not have a race win, but he is ready to fight tooth and nail for this championship. Bogdan Moldovan only up by 100th in that middle sector. I would expect him to abort. He's actually invalidated through the Casio triangle, so he does abort and come into the pit lane. I don't think there is enough time for Campbell Adams or Dimas to come back in, get their car turned round and go for another lap. Alexander Dimas maybe, but for Campbell Adams, I think that could be session over and done with. So that lap time of a 1:26.520 is what everybody's got to be looking at. Everyone's trying to beat. But with the amount of improvement Campbell Adams found, it's going to be very difficult indeed. Alessandro Fins on his lap. He's invalidated, sorry. He would have been up enough to actually not improve him any places, but to get into the 26.9s. But the top 6 all battling it out for pole, but Campbell Adams might have just pulled out pole position before the final runs even begin.
Yeah, but if you just had a look at that second sector time from Alessandro Finn, that was actually quite good, even with diving it into the pit lane. Sorry, he just has to wait there momentarily as Menno de Bever is just exiting pit lane. But he was up a little bit. That sector time, sector 2 at 10.3, that's what we saw Campbell Adams do earlier on. That would put him about 3/10s quicker than he currently is. And he wasn't even up by that much in the second sector. So that shows for Alessandro Finn, there's about 2.5 to gain in that last sector alone. And if he can pull that together, he's already up in P4. So there's a lot to gain for him. He should just have about enough time if he leaves the pits as soon as he can. For some other drivers, that will be more difficult. Exafox should be able to make it. Campbell Adams surely is not even going to attempt. And Exafox is leaving. I see Dimas is currently leaving pit lane as well. But Alessandro Finn really needs to hurry up or he's not going to make it. And that will be qualifying over. There was more in it for the Ferrari man. But not tonight, not at least for now. So we're going to move over to the drivers that still can, and of which, that must be Dennis Langrock who is leading the pack. So we're going to go watch him and see if he can improve in a final run. Currently sitting on a 27-0.
Let's see what Dennis the Menace can do. Heading through the final corners to start the final runs of qualifying. And the first session of 2025 will come to a close here in PSGL PCF4. So for Langrock through turns 1 and 2, maybe a little bit wide through turn 1, but was able to collect the car through turn 2 as he heads through 3, 4, now into 5. These corners come at you so quickly. You're going to be on your toes to get the car rotated in. So he heads through 6 and now up through Dunlop curve of 7. What would this be in the first sector for the Alpine driver? It's a 31.4. That is going to be good enough for quite a substantial improvement over the lap if he's able to keep up this pace. A little slide out of Degner 2. That's going to affect his run ever so slightly into the turn 10 hairpin of the Kobayashi curve, but manages to get the braking point quite nicely as he now heads through 200R. Of course, as I said previously, it's all focusing on the run into Spoon. It's the most critical corner on the whole circuit, really, is Spoon curve, as you then head through to the second part, and very nicely done from Dennis Langrock, using all the curb he possibly can as well on corner exit as we head up into 130R. Middle sector split now coming up for the Alpine. It's going to be a 10.3. He's up by nearly a tenth and a half on this lap time, so there's still time to find in the Casio triangle as well. Late on the brakes, a little bit wide from that first apex, going to affect his run on the exit of the corner, but up to the line. What would this be for Dennis Langrock? Can he break into that top 5? No, just misses out, goes into 7th place. Isaac Leet to the line. He can't improve on his lap time. Next to the line will be the Red Bull of, actually, not the Red Bull, that will be the V-Carb of Bogdan Moldovan in 5th place. He's up by 74 milliseconds. This will promote him at least up to 4th. Across the line, doesn't find time, actually makes a mistake. Paul Alfonso up to 13th. There's Isaac Leet now up to 4th onto the second row of the grid. It's all Papaya on the second row. Lighty up by a 10th of a second in the final chicane. Gottschalk up into 5th place. Here comes the Alpine and Lighty. Where can he go? He goes to the second row. All eyes on Dimas. He's invalidated. Dimas has invalidated his lap time. That is the man currently sitting on the front row, out to qualifying. Exafox to the line. Where can he go? He goes to 5th. He splits the 2 Papaya McLarens. But Campbell Adams, I said that he set the lap time for pole position before the final runs even began. He certainly did. No one came close to the Williams man's lap time. He may not have a race win this season, but that's another pole position to his name. That's 3 so far this season. And Campbell Adams, the championship leader, kicking 2025 off with a bang in qualifying.
That is absolutely amazing from Campbell Adams. 1:26.520, 1100s quicker than anyone else out there on track. Dimas got close, but that final run just couldn't quite do it. Then he's followed by Lighty, Kai, Exafox, Isaac Leet, Gottschalk, and Bogdan Moldovan. Your 8 championship competitors in the top 8 as well. I love that. Then it's Menno de Bevo, followed by Dennis Langrock, Alessandro Finn, Lucas Beisner, Paolo Afonso, and Chris Bertsinski, who did not set a lap time. And interestingly enough, outside of the top 8, you find Menno de Bever. He is in 9th. He's not in the championship fight, but he's also the only driver who's not within the championship fight that won a race. So far we've had 9 races, 8 different winners, and 2 of them are not in our championship fight. Are in our championship fight. I haven't won a race. That's Campbell Adams, and that is Kai. So maybe tonight that will bring about a change for them, as they're really starting to eye a race win here. And I think for Campbell Adams, after Monaco was 2nd place, a 3rd place in Jeddah after both getting pole positions there, he surely wants to get a race win tonight and further extend that championship lead. We're currently having the usual lobby restart happening, so in a couple of minutes we are going to see more about that. So I think, Max, we're quickly going to take a break, and we'll be back in a moment. And we are back after that quick intermission, but we have seen pretty good qualifying all the way through. And Max, as expected, the top 8, all 8 of our championship competitors. These drivers know the pressure is on them for their last remaining 3 races, and so far they're at least managing to stay within reach of one another.
Yeah, they certainly are. Brilliant to see all 8 of the championship competitors in that top 8. But Campbell Adams, I mean, the pressure's on him most, especially being a championship leader without a race win. The pressure does somewhat get you to deliver and finally get those maximum points in the Grand Prix. So if he's able to pick that up here today, that'll be a lot of pressure relief from his shoulders, a nice and healthy championship lead heading into the last 2 rounds of the season, and it should give him a massive confidence boost for both Vegas and Bahrain. So yeah, for Campbell Adams, the pressure was really on there and he was able to deliver. Same with Dimas as well. Of course, the closest competitor to Campbell Adams in second. And yeah, really, really strong work. I think the top 3 in the championship are actually lining up 1, 2, 3 on the grid, with Lighty lining up third. So the top 3, all with a big opportunity to score some big points and maybe bring that championship lead either down or extended. So it should be an interesting race to see. Penalties could play a big part, as we saw the amount of invalidations in qualifying, especially into the Casio Triangle. Just going a little bit too hot over the curbs could mean a warning at the very least comes your way. 3 of those pick up a penalty. So yeah, it's going to be all about the back end of the circuit from Spoon all the way to turn 1. They're your real overtaking opportunities in this race. You also have the hairpin as well. So really 3 overtaking opportunities in this Grand Prix.
Yeah, so not too many opportunities for drivers to go past one another. Of course, the 2 DRS zones. No, I say that. DRS zone only at the pit straight. So that will at least make it a little bit less easy for them to overtake. But I quickly want to take you back to December when we had our last race, when we went to the Jeddah Corniche Street circuit, and take you through the race results of that one, just to give you an insight of how we ended up at the race here and the standings as they are, which I'll move over afterwards. So first off, pole position. As we mentioned, Campbell Adams had pole positions there, so that makes it 2 in a row for him now, the 3rd of the season. But he was only 16 thousandths ahead of Kai, who is yet to get a pole position and race win, just like Campbell Adams. Although for him, it's only the race win. Then it was 2.5 tenths to Isaac Lead, followed by Dimas, Finn, Exafox, Lighty, Langrock, Beisner, and Lanzoni. His last named is sadly not here tonight. And then in the race, it was Lighty taking it, but look at that margin. 3.5 tenths over Dimas, 6.5 over Campbell Adams. Then a slight gap to Kai, who finished in 4th, followed by Bogdan Moldovan, Lead, and on-track Exafox in 7th. But he got another 5 seconds added to his total time after a Stewart penalty. Still keeps him 4 tenths ahead of Dennis Langrock, so that gives him 1 extra point, and it means that he's only 9 behind instead of more that could have been. So I'm quickly going to let you look at the standings and let Max take it from here.
Yes, so of course, the drivers' standings. Campbell Adams, as we've previously mentioned, tops them 3 points clear. A big points result tonight could at least extend him up to 7 points clear heading into the final 2 rounds of the season. Alexander Dimas is second in the standings, of course 3 points behind. Then Lighty, a further 3 points behind. Alexander Dimas 6 points behind Campbell Adams. Then it's Exafox on 59 points, an extra 3 from Lighty, 9 points away from from Campbell Adams. Bogdan Moldovan in 5th, Isaac Lee in 6th, then Kai in 7th on 51 points. Daniel Gottschalk on 45 points. And you have a 20-point gap to Tail Bournes in 9th, and then Lucas Beisner, 23 points behind. 23 points for him, currently sits in 10th, and that is your top 10 in the standings. Then you have Menno, Alessandro Fin, Yerne Dosvan, Chris Benitsky, Gabriele Printo, João Pena, and Adam Schummer, Dennis Lamrock, Daniele Farinelli, Giovanni Lanzoni, Jay Kennedy, Ian Van Oonen, and Lolo Vieira are your point scorers for the season. But it's tense at the top. And also, in all of that, you mentioned that penalty for Exafox. That seemed to be like the somewhat of the kryptonite of his season. He got one at Belgium, got one at Canada, and now also another one at Saudi Arabia. That's so many points lost over the season. he could be on his way to wrapping up the championship at this point if it wasn't for those penalties.
Exactly, it is like that. But we are quickly going to move over to our in-game view because the drivers are about to get ready to line up. And here we are with 2, 3, 4, and 5 red lights. And we're on our way with a good start from Campbell Adams on the outside. For Dimas, not so good, and that might open up doors, but I think that has held back the other drivers a little bit more. Campbell Adams leads into turn 1. Exavox taking over P4 from Kai as Isaac Lead is dropping down the order a little bit, fighting very hard with his teammate. That's a Mercedes going off the track. That is Lucas Beisner, and another fierce fighting with Daniel Gottschalk and Kai. Kai is now dropping down the order. He's down to 9th or even 10th. That's a big incident with Kai, as he is now dropped fully down the order, still wheel banging, this time with Lucas Beisner, but you're trying to go 2 men wide to the S-curves. That's really not possible here, especially not on F124, and Kai has left the session after a little desync there. He seems to be ahead of the pack, at least for now. Let's hope he can return in time, because this could surely ruin his championship chances. I see a front wing end plate flying. I think that was of Chris Bierczynski. And it is indeed, as he's missing one. But down the back of the pack, a really tense fight is starting to unfold. Let's hope they keep it on track.
It really is, and that's so unfortunate for one of the drivers on the verge of the elimination from championship contention. And for Kai, that disconnect could not come at a worse time. So Alessandro Finn and Lucas Beisner squabbling over 13th place respectively. And of course, Kai now going to be dropping down the field like a stone. He'll be behind Chris Bierczynski very, very shortly. And there we go, the Williams gets by the McLaren driver, who is now in AI mode. So across the start-finish line, it's been a dream start for Campbell Adams, keeping that pole position into turn 1 and through the whole of that first lap. He's now going to contend with Alexander Dimas Lighty and Exafox in tow with one another. Isaac Lee there just looming in the backgrounds, in the shadows, in 5th place after that opening lap. So for Exafox, of course, back in that Aston Martin, needs to quickly just regroup, quickly just get back on the visuals of the Aston Martin and get back on his merry way to try and fight his way past Lighty and Dimas to get on the back of Campbell Adams. A little bit wide there from Lighty. Now that allows an opportunity for Exafox to go to the inside line before turn 10, but a big slide from the Aston Martin. Lucky to keep that one facing the right way. We saw him have a huge slide through Spoon in qualifying, has one through turn 10 in the race, and Exafox extremely lucky to keep that one pointing in the right direction, but he's up into 3rd place. It's like I knew that he would get past Lighty ever so shortly. Lighty making that mistake out of Degna 2, very costly for him. Exafox with the run, up into 3rd place he goes. His sights now set on Alexander Dimas in 2nd, but Campbell Adams still holding off strong at the lead. But of course, DRS will be used for the first time down the main straight.
Yeah, and with that's going to open up the opportunity for Dimas to at least take over the race lead for 1 lap, as he has a little bit of a desync here, and that puts him right back in front of Exafox, and it gives him the opportunity to maybe go for a move. They're both at least having a little shy look for it, but Dimas is now too far away to really make a lunge at Campbell Adams up ahead. Another interesting fact I want to point out is that all drivers have decided to start on the hard set of compounds, so there won't be any strategy shenanigans tonight unless we have a safety car. It looks like everyone is going for the standard hard-medium setup, that hard-medium run with 1 pit stop only, probably around the lap 16 march, maybe even 15. They want to go a tad bit earlier, but a long run on the hards first and then on to the mediums. But we know how unforgiving and how relenting this track can be in Sector 1 through those S-curves. You need to keep it together, and with those tires degrading more and more and more, it is easier to make a mistake there, and maybe towards the end of this first stint we will see one of the drivers struggling a bit more. Let's hope they can keep it all on track.
Yeah, let's hope that they can. It will get extremely difficult with the amount of load that gets put on those worn tyres. The purchase and the grip just slowly starts to fade, and that's where knowing your car, knowing your tyres, and knowing how much grip you have becomes so important. and throttle balance becomes absolutely key. So out of the Casio triangle once more, a little slide there from Exafox that luckily for him doesn't allow Lighty to pounce all over to the back of him. Will Alexander Dimas get close enough for Campbell Adams into turn one? No, he will not. But Dennis Lamrock able to get by Bogdan Moldovan, who's dropped off the back of this field ever so slightly. So the V-Carb isn't looking too strong at the start of this Grand Prix so far. Wasn't able to keep up with Daniel Gottschalk and is now dropping behind Dennis Lamrock and wants to try and keep up with the Alpine this time around. But on those hards, doesn't seem to be the most hooked up car in the world. So back at the front of the field, Campbell Adams leads Alexander Dimas by 0.2 of a second, with Exafox all over the rear of the Red Bull in front. Exafox looking to try and force an error like we saw him do on Lighty on lap 2. There's a yellow flag behind. That's for Paulo Alfonso, who has seemingly gone off. Yes, he has gone off at the second Degner, sorry, and unfortunately has broken his front wing, maybe got on the grass, under braking, allowing his car to just carry that momentum forward, go straight on into the corner, and unfortunately for the Aston Martin, that is front wing damage. We'll have to come into the pit lane for that one, and that will drop him miles away from the back of the field. But up at the front, Alexander Dimas, your time could be now to hit the front of the field. You're going to have a lot of pressure put on you from Exafox behind, who is looking to try and gain back some key points in the championship. So attack could be his best form of defense heading down that main straight. The Red Bull driver about to deploy the DRS now. Will he go for the move on Campbell Adams this time around?
Our last lap around, he was about a 10th further away. This time he's seemingly a lot closer, but is he gonna go for the move after? Oh, he's not. He's opting to stay behind. I thought I saw a similar thing earlier on. He's not deploying any ERS. He's happy where he is here in P2. Just wants to save the ERS, wants to save the tires, see if he can go one lap extra and then use that tire offset advantage, even if it's just one lap at the end of the race, to try and get that race win, which for him would be the second race win of the season. Paulo Alfonso has come into pit lane. It's a wise choice for him. He has gone over to the mediums, and that means that he will need to make a stop later on down the line, hoping desperately for a safety car further down the line so he can still be within that fight. But what I was hoping to say earlier on is, because this track only has one DRS zone, if you fall outside of DRS range, it's a little bit easier to come back into it. But as I wanted to say that last lap, I'm thankful, Max, that you were covering it, because now the gap has gone from 1.2 that Langrock had first in P7. Now Bogdan Moldovan has taken over, the gap now 1.8, so it looks like they're unable to come back within range, and that means your top 6, at least for now, will be fighting for that lead, of which Alexander Dimas is going to get closer and closer to Campbell Adams. But I think if we see anyone make a move, it will be Exafox over onto Dimas. So let's go on board with the Aston Martin driver, this time in the right colors after being in that Red Bull car in qualifying. Does not matter for him, but can he get a good run down on the start finish straight? He is a little bit further away, but actually Isaac Lead is much closer, and he's going to try and make a move on Lighty. That's a switchback attempt there, defense on the inside from Lighty, and he stays just ahead of Isaac Lead, fending off that attack. I does see his teammate Kai make up his way at least one position. He's back in 12th as Chris Bierczynski loses a place to Alessandro Finn, but he's 4.7 seconds away from his teammate in 9th, and that is all due to that missing speed that Williams has after missing that front wing end plate.
Yeah, these guys at the back need a safety car. That is going to be their saving grace in this Grand Prix. Question is, will it come? That battle there between Isaac Leet and Lighty, that was very late movement from Lighty to defend that position to the inside, but look how much they all back up and just close in on one another, under braking into turn 10. It just all congests. And Dennis Lamrock, thanks to all this squabbling, is now catching back up to that pack. Of course, where they're going so close to one another, that top 6, they'll have to brake a little bit earlier than the other. Dennis Lamrock can brake at his normal braking point and just slowly eat away at that gap in front. So, for Alexander Dimas, he's now 1/10 behind Campbell Adams, heading into 130R on the Casio triangle. Will he go for a move into the chicane, or is he just thinking about the exit? Because surely, with the way Campbell Adams has had this last lap, it's been very scruffy from the Williams man, especially at Degner 2. He'll go for the move this time around and eliminate any risk of Exafox being able to get by. He's looking for it. He's going closer and closer, but no, elects to lift off once again. Exafox not going for a move either. So, Everyone stays as they are down into turns 1 and 2. It's tandem racing. You can cover the top 6 with a blanket at the moment. That's how close they are. Sheet of paper stuff in between the front wings and the rear diffusers. All it takes, though, is one lock of the brakes, one little drift wide, and that could be being up at this front of the field all the way back with the likes of Kaya and Chris Berdzinski in 12th and 11th by just one simple error.
Really means all these drivers need to keep themselves on their toes and ready to pounce at whatever mistake they might make. We saw that Campbell Adams make a slight mistake on exit Degner 2 last lap round that allowed Dimas to get so much closer, and on start-finish straight he showed, look, I have more pace than you, but I'm opting to stay behind at least for now because I don't want to go for moves just yet and just stay put, stay where I'm at, and overtake you later because I have more speed than you. And that is a warning for Campbell Adams, who wants to pick up his maiden race win here in season 38, further cementing his lead in the championship. As for Dimas, he is looking to try and take the lead of the championship for the first time this season 38, so there's a lot at stake. Exafox as well, he wants to get back in a championship lead after holding it for so long. Lighty wants to make sure he can perhaps take it over from Campbell Adams, and Isaac Lee not too far away either. Had a little bit of a desync there, which allowed, well, it's forced Lighty a little bit further back, but still ahead of Isaac Lee. He is still in 4th place now, and the rest of the pack remains unchanged as Bogdan Moldovan has dropped behind a little bit more now. It's 2 seconds. It's about a couple tenths more than it was on the previous lap, and he has Langrock and Menno de Bever awfully close to him. So that's our second pack, and then the third pack is with Alessandro Finn, who's starting to get a little closer to the drivers up ahead us. We had another desync there, and he is followed by Chris Bierczynski and Kai, both of these drivers having a little bit of damage. And behind that, we find Lucas Beisner and Paulo Alfonso. But we're going to remain focused here at the front of the pack. And I think I want to take a closer look at Isaac Lead for now, because Lighty has had 2 desyncs now in the last half a minute. So if that happens again, he must be ready to strike, but also ready to avoid possible contact.
He certainly does. I feel like this lobby has a little bit of a desync issue at the moment, and that could play dividends, especially on that final lap of the Grand Prix if something happens to any of these drivers, but hopefully that won't occur. So, heading through 1:30 for the 8th time in this Grand Prix, Isaac Lee still looking at the back of that Alpine, will want to get by at the earliest of conveniences. He'll want that DRS open, but not a great run out of the Casio triangle. That's going to stunt his progress massively heading down this main straight. Alexander Dimas once again backing up from the back of the Williams of Campbell Adams. Gottschalk just going a little bit wide through turn 2. That could allow Langrock and Moldovan to close in that little bit more. That gap heading down into turn 1 with the DRS that Gottschalk has, just averaging around about 1.9 second each lap after lap. But it seems this time, with that little mistake from Gottschalk, with everybody going a little bit slower up in front, that gap between 6th and 7th now 1.3 seconds. Langrock can still get back within this train. It's still going to be very difficult to do, but he can still find that time he needs to get into that DRS range, especially into somewhere like the hairpin, where he's just found a 10th on his own through that one corner, make that 2 tenths on corner exit. So Langrock, if he just maybe uses a bit of battery, if he just gets his braking point and turning point right here for Spoon Curve, could see himself within DRS range of Daniel Gottschalk by the time we get to 130R. He's got to use that battery just to make sure he's within it, and yes he is. There we go, the train has been connected, and the key factor in all that, the key driver being Dennis Langrock, he has connected the 2 trains, and now he just needs to stay within it all the way down that main straight. But just look how much they congest down into turn into the Casio triangle. It's a traffic jam between this top 6. No one willing to go for moves. I say that. Here comes Alexander Dimas and Campbell Adams. Could Exafox follow him through? Yes, he will. Can he go for the Red Bull as well? No, but the Exafox and Alexander Dimas both overtaking Campbell Adams. That's exactly what Dimas did. He wanted the Aston Martin, and unfortunately, he has not got that.
That was a great wait by Alexander Dimas, making sure that he would only go for it when he really had to. He saw he was closer than before, about a tenth closer. He saw Exafox was hot on his tail, so he knew I need to go now or I'm going to be in third at the end of turns 1 and 2. So he did that. He's taken over the race lead for now, but he's likely happy and more than happy to rescind that back to Exafox at the start of the next lap. We're currently in lap 10 out of 27 with now 9 drivers within that first DRS train, and we're slowly but surely starting to approach that first pit stop sequence. Remember, we called it about lap 15 to 16. So that is not too far away from now. We were watching Isaac lead earlier on, seeing if he took some different lines compared to the other drivers. And it looked like, especially at the start of Sector 2, Isaac lead is a little bit quicker than Lighty. Going a little bit wider on the exit of Deckner 2, allowing him to carry more speed through. Taking a different line into the hairpin, also allowing him to get a little bit closer to Lighty. But after that, he had to lift into spoon curves. And that caused for a little mistake out of Spoon 2, and causing him to drop further back. But here we go then. Indeed, as we predicted, Alexander Dimas is going to rescind that lead to Exafox. He is now leading that race for the first time out. Aside from that, no further changes. So your top 5 now: Exafox, Alexander Dimas, Campbell Adams, Lighty, and Isaac Libas. I see that Lucas Beisner has retired in pit lane.
Yeah, unfortunate there for the Mercedes of Lucas Beisner, just not gone his way ever since that opening lap where Chris Bernitsky got that front wing damage. And unfortunately, that pack has not been able to recover so far since. So that last lap move from Exafox seemed to be so crucial in him getting this race lead. Alexander Dimas didn't want him to make it. And Exafox, oh, that's a big moment into the hairpin. That nearly would have sent him all the way down the order. Brilliant catch mid-corner. But once again, heading into turn 10, seeming like a weak point. That's the second time we've seen Exafox have a slide into there. And once again, able to collect it and keep position. But that would have been very scary for Exafox, and that certainly puts his heart in his mouth, and that could have been his championship chances over if that went south, and maybe he skittered into that outside wall. So heading down into the Casio Triangle once more, the Aston Martin going to be a little bit more careful, you would think, on his braking into the next few corners. Paulo Alfonso, sorry, has also retired in the pit lane, so unfortunate to lose 2 cars all in this Grand Prix in the pit lane, as Alexander Dimas once again just going to sit behind Exafox. He's very patient, is Dimas, and oh, that was close to the back of Alfonso's car. I think he actually did clip it ever so slightly, but what a dangerous location for a retired car to be, and that could have been a race ender, not only for Exafox, but maybe for Dimas as well. Luckily, everybody's still in this Grand Prix that's up at the front of the field, and Daniel Gottschalk, we said about Isaac Lee getting closer to Lighty. Gottschalk seeming to find his new groove. He's found a rhythm behind the McLaren and is now getting closer to Isaac Leet ever so slowly throughout the course of this race. We're on lap 12 of 27. Expect the pit stops to be within the next 4 or 5 laps for the medium compounded tyres. But currently, Exafox will lead the way, and this time through the hairpin does not have a big moment.
Yeah, that in turns 1 and 2 looked like a scene straight out of a horror scene, where all of a sudden a standing Aston Martin popped up. I thought for a moment we were going to have huge impact, but then realized that that was the retired car of Paulo Afonso. Game retiring him there. Let's hope that the drivers didn't get as startled as we did here in the commentary box. As for further up ahead, it surely didn't seem to matter much, as all the gaps are still intact. I thought that Dennis Langerock was starting to get a little bit closer to Gottschalk, but looks like on the straights he's losing a little bit more. So I think he's running a slightly different configuration with a little bit more wing, allowing him to pick up pace in the first and early parts of the second sector, but losing about 1/10.5 to 2/10 on that long back straight, and that is keeping him further away, at least for a time being, as Alessandro Finn has gone past Kai again. He is the one without wing damage. Kai, of course, does have that front wing end plate damage. Actually, he does not, so I'm not sure why he is struggling to keep up with the pace, because they have dropped significantly behind Menno and are not able to really catch up. As for Chris Bertsinski, he does have that front wing end plate damage, But for Kai, really need to hope for a miracle, because if he does finish in P11, that means that his championship fight will be officially over, as there's no mathematical opportunity anymore for him to stay within that fight, given, of course, Campbell Adams wins that. But even if Campbell Adams doesn't win that, he's going to drop down even further. The gap's going to be closer to 25 to 30 points with 2 races to go, and that seems to be too much to recover, especially after the performance that these guys put in, week out. So we'll need to come up further, otherwise we're going to go down from 8 to 7, or maybe even less, because also Gottschalk's already 23 points away, currently in 6th. We'll need to finish higher, so otherwise we're going to drop down a little bit more. As Lighty has a cheeky look, but he does not want to get past Campbell Adams just yet. But that does allow Isaac to close in a little bit more. So can he go? We have pit stops. Actually, Gottschalk and Dennis Langrock have come in. Dimas has taken over race lead from Exafox. I have a feeling, Max, that next lap these drivers are going to come in.
Yeah, they are. They've got to react to this. The undercut is so powerful here at Japan. Of course, with the fact there's only one DRS zone, they can find so much more time, especially through the first and middle sectors. So everybody else is surely going to react to this and try to keep that overcut in good hands. Lighty, that all came from into the Casio triangle. Campbell Adams making a bit of a mistake through Spoon 1. And that then allowed the Alpine to get all over the back of him on the exit of Spoon 2. But now Isaac Lee is looking to try and get a move done on the Alpine. Lighty is really starting to push now. Maybe he knows this lap has to be the lap he comes in. Isaac Lee was lurking and lurking to that inside line, was trying to find a gap big enough for his McLaren, but unfortunately was not able to do so. Luckily for Langrock and Gottschalk, they've got a 14-second gap to Finn and Kai in front, so they've got plenty of clean air to push on into, but these are crucial laps of the Grand Prix. Isaac Lee using all his battery. I think he wants to come in now, and he wants to get past Lighty here, heading into 130. He's using everything he has left in the tank. What a move to the inside from the Papaya man, and he moves himself up now into 4th place. Let's see who comes into the pits. Dimas comes in, Exafox stays out, everybody else into the pit lane. Late on the brakes they all go. Lighty trying the overtake into the pit lane, not able to get it done, but Menno and Exafox both staying out in this Grand Prix. Kai speeds into the pit lane, and that's not what he needed. Looking into this championship fight, looking to try keep his fight alive. That 10-second time penalty is going to be oh so crucial, and that surely now is all championship hopes gone and ruined. Here comes Dennis Langrock. He passes everybody but Alexander Dimas coming out into the pit lane. Gottschalk just in front of Isaac Lee and now sits behind Campbell Adams, of course. All these drivers that have just come out the pit lane will need to warm up their medium compounded tyres, where Langrock and Gottschalk will have warm, toasty mediums that they can push onto through this first sector, but not much being made of it from those two that have come into the pit lane. But a beautiful undercut being executed, and that puts Exafox at severe risk of a huge gap on the pit lane exit when he does eventually come in.
I thought that the difference was going to be a little bit more, but it looks like Langrock was able to gain about a second, maybe a second and a half at most, but he does at least jump to provisional 2nd instead of a provisional 7th, so that is a good improvement from the Alpine driver all the way through, who's hoping to get a good point scoring here as he's looking to perhaps pick up his first podium of the season. We're expecting him to do quite well, but he's having to face fierce competition with all the other drivers out there. And here we go, Exafox and Menno de Wever both into pit lane. Exafox has now switched onto the mediums, but will he stay ahead of Dimas? My heart says no, my gut says no, but we're gonna find out now. Exafox about to leave pit lane. The guys are coming down the start-finish straight now. Will it be tight enough? Will he be able to do so? This is going to be oh so close, and he stays ahead. He stays ahead. The overcut worked. Who would have guessed that? What a great in-lap from Exafox as he stays ahead of Alexander Dimas, and he's got the tire advantage too. That's amazing.
Exafox has pulled a lap of the gods for that in-lap to make sure that worked, and that was beautifully executed from the Aston Martin. Not only did he have a 1-lap overcut on Alexander Dimas and co. He had a 2-lap overcut to contend with Lanrock and Gottschalk. Talking about Dennis Lanrock, he's now coming under some pressure from from Campbell Adams in all of this squabbling. So let's see if the Williams driver is able to get by. But once again, for Campbell Adams, it looks like this race win is ever so slowly falling out of his grasp. We thought he might have had one hand on it, heading it out of qualifying. But once again, it's just slipping away. The race just not going in his favour. And Alexander Dimas will score some crucial points and maybe level things at the top of the standings if things stay as they are. So, for Alexander Dimas, this is now a crucial part of the race. You can't let Exafox fly up the road, or that tyre delta will get too big and you won't be able to close in once again. So the Aston Martin will need to stay within his peripherals. He needs to be locked in and loaded to try and get this move done. He does, and here comes Dennis Lanrock as well to try follow him through to get that pressure off the back of him from Campbell Adams. He gets by him, forces him wide. Here comes Campbell Adams to the inside, but has to back out of it there. You don't want to go side by side. It will lose too much time. So that top two, smart thinking from the championship leader, and also didn't want to get involved in any unnecessary incidents. But Dennis Lanrock really making attack, his best form of defence, and Exafox now falling down to third. That overcut worked for the most part, but now it has not worked too greatly into his hands, but he still does have that tyre delta to everybody else. Campbell Adams is now next to try and get by the British Racing Green Aston Martin.
Yeah, good to see there. Campbell Adams really driving with his head there. He knows how far he's already gotten in this championship fight. He's leading it despite not having won a race. He does have 5 podiums to his name, and it's that consistency that has gotten him up at the top of the leaderboard. And he knows that he doesn't need to be leading it now or next race. He just needs to be leading it at the end of the race in Bahrain, which is when a champion will be crowned. And he sees, I have opportunity to go for an Exafox, but it can easily end up in tears. We have a late send from Isaac Lee down the inside onto Daniel Gottschalk. That move has been held off, but that opens up the door for Lighty again. But I think Gottschalk is under even more pressure from Lead. Here he goes then. Isaac Lead wants to go by, defending on the inside by Gottschalk. And it looks like he can't get through after all and will be stuck in P6 for a time being. Langrock has actually taken over race lead from Exafox and Dimas, who is now in third, but they're crucially still ahead of Campbell Adams, who cannot get past fourth place, at least for now, but on the other hand, doesn't really need to just yet. You just want to be in P2 when you enter lap 27, then go for the overtake, because coming from third might be just a little bit too hard to go 2-man overtake past the start-finish straight. And yeah, aside from that, not really a lot of overtaking opportunities unless you save so much more battery than everyone on the back straight. But I think everyone will be wise enough to leave enough battery so that they can get everyone and keep everyone covered. So make sure to be there in P2 heading into the final lap, and then you can get this race win for tonight. For Langrock, it would be the first win of the season. For Exafox, the second, but a long time coming for him. Dimas would be the second as well. Campbell Adams would be his first. Gottschalk is second. For Lead, it would be his third. He's the other repeat winner aside from Bogdan Moldovan. Lighty's got one so far. Moldovan, as I mentioned, is on 2, and Menno de Bevel also on 1 race win. So 2 drivers in here that do not have a race win yet, and a man, one of them at least, is not in the championship fight, sadly. Currently leading the race, but is about to be overtaken as 3-man wide we go into turn 1. And Alexander Dimas retakes the race lead at the start of lap 19.
He certainly does, and we can see this battling, this squabbling throughout the rest of this Grand Prix. And for Dennis Lanrock, what a tale it will be to turn what has only been 6 points so far this season into starting 2025 off the way he'll want to continue it and kick it off with a race victory, and he's first here in PCF4. So for Dennis Lanrock, it's going to be all about just keeping his head, playing it smart, especially with Exafox and Dimas in front. 2 drivers in championship contention, and many drivers behind him, all the way down to Menno, who are also within a fight for this championship. So we head for a 200R for the 19th time in this Grand Prix. Alexander Dimas just staying in front of Exafox now. Dennis Lanrock has dropped ever so slightly back from the Aston Martin. Will he get close enough to maybe follow him through once more into turns 1 and 2? We'll have to wait and see, but the slipstream is helping him massively down through 130R and into the Casio triangle. That gap of about 3/10, about 1 as we into the final chicane. Dimas going a little bit deep. That's going to affect his run out of the corner, and this could be where Exafox switches back by, and Langrock will want to follow too. Campbell Adams is still waiting in the wings. He's just looking for any opportunity, any sniff of a move, and there's the first part of it. He gets to move down into turn 1. He looked at the inside line. He saw Langrock derating, and that's exactly how a champion drives, looking, sniffing out any opportunity at a move that'll be done safely and cleanly, and Campbell Adams takes a position away from Dennis Lanrock. He's back up into 3rd place, and he's now got the Red Bull of Alexander Dimas in front. Lanrock thought he was safe. He thought he was able to lift off, but Campbell Adams says, thank you very much. I'll take that opportunity when you're vulnerable, and he moves up into 3rd place.
And that is another step forward for Campbell Adams. Really wants his first race win of the season and further cement his lead in the championship, which currently is only 3 ahead of Dimas. With the results as they stand now, the drivers would be within a point of one another, or even less. That shows how tight it is up ahead. So for Dimas, it is key to get that race win instead. As for Exafox, he's currently 9 points down. He wants to cut back on Campbell Adams and could do so by about 6 points if results stay as they are. But of course, we are far away from the finish line now. We're about to round off lap 20 and go into 21. So there's still an awful lot of time for overtakes to be made, but also mistakes to be made. But first off, it will be Alexander Dimas looking to retake that race lead. Has to go for it, because if he doesn't, Campbell Adams has a little look. He does stay behind for now. That was a risky move from him, but thankfully Campbell Adams did not want to go for a move, as he has a huge moment out of turn 2 to be corner, but he does keep it on track nicely, still within 2/10 of Exafox up ahead. And this is just, it's not really an accident waiting to happen, but this is just a train that is starting to queue up, close in more and more like a harmonica, and just waiting to finally pop off and explode into a great race ending.
It certainly will, and it's just all about patience at the front of this field. All about taking your opportunities so far as they come. When we hit lap 27, that whole wait for your opportunity goes out the window, and you just push for every little crack you see and every little door left ajar, and you'll charge into that gap no matter what is at stake. Unless, of course, your name is Campbell Adams. No risks will be taken on that final lap. It is just all about getting those consistent points on the board. And even if it means another podium and finishing behind, say, Exafox, it will still be valuable points that he will need in the fight for his championship with 2 rounds to go. So, heading into the Casio triangle once again. Again, out of this exit, Alexander Dimas might want to get this move done on Exafox so he doesn't get pounced on from Campbell Adams behind, who has been sniffing out drivers from their vulnerable moments, seeing them have that moment of weakness and him allowing to pounce. But this time around, Campbell Adams not close enough to do so. Isaac Lee looking all over the back of Gottschalk. He's got a brilliant run out of turn 2. He's squeezing the Mercedes through 3 and 4. He's really barged himself through there. I said about the door left a little bit ajar, and you'll barge your way through, and that's exactly what Isaac Lee has done. He has taken that phrase literally and barged Daniel Gottschalk out of the way. Lighty involved in an accident as well with Gottschalk in all of that. Unfortunately, was squeezed a little bit too much through turn 6. For the Alpines, liking losing a place to Bogdan Moldovan. Of course, he's the man sitting 3rd in the drivers' standings, only 3 points off Alexander Dimas, and this could be a big swing in his championship implications after that race win last time out in Saudi Arabia. An 8th place finish will not score him good enough points at all heading into the final 2 rounds of the season. That will give him a big mountain to climb for the final few rounds. So as we exit out of Spoon Curve, Campbell Adams getting ever closer to Alexander Dimas. Will the championship leader strike now? He's been waiting for that moment of weakness to show, and that certainly could be down into turn 1 this time around.
Yeah, and there we go for a move into the Casio triangle. They really want to get past Gottschalk, who's defending tooth and nail and still staying ahead of Bogdan Moldovan for now. But the run onto start-finish straight, not as good. So we're now on board with Gottschalk. He's using all of the ERS that he can muster, but he has a car side by side with him. He loses it. He touches the V-Carb on exit. They do stay on track together, but this time he will have to yield. He is now behind Bogdan Moldovan. But this Mercedes car, he's on 9-lap old mediums. The others are on 8 or 7. And it's starting to look like that tire age is finally coming into the play. He's not able to keep up with the pace fully. He's maybe only a tenth and a half a jar, but it's just enough for him to be overtaken by Bogdan Moldovan into turns 1, 2, and 3. Great move by him, and that means that he can try and slot in further up as Lighty seemingly taps Gottschalk from behind, and that puts him back a little bit further, with Menno de Bever now closing in to about 210. So Lighty will need to use a little bit of ERS again to try and get up. Bogdan Moldovan in the meantime, he's still about 6.5 tenths behind. The gaps are starting to form a little bit more as they were earlier, but they surely will be coming together here on the back straight. The gap to Axel Fox was 4 tenths, but into 130R we go, and it is just under 3 tenths. But looks like Dimas is starting to manage that pace, is managing that gap, because he wants to be right where he is currently. And we wonder, is Exofox going to try and do anything different? Going to pull one out of the hat? Or if he's just going to try and stay ahead on that final lap and take the race win regardless.
All it takes, it all goes down into the Casio triangle. That final lap, ooh, a big slide there from Exofox. Another moment where the race win could have just went slipping out of his hands, but another brilliant showcase of car control from the Aston Martin. But it all comes down to the Casio triangle on that final lap. That run from Spoon Curve all the way through 130R, where we saw the race win decided last season with a move from Daniel Gottschalk into 130R. This is what makes this circuit so special when it comes to those final lap battles. It's not all said and done after the first DRS zone. You still have the whole rest of the lap to contend with. So for Dimas, it's all about the waiting game, all about being patient over the course of these next 3.5 laps. And just making sure you're going to be in that right spot to make the move, to pounce on your championship rival and race-winning rival. We'll see if he's able to do that in this Grand Prix. Of course, he's still got Campbell Adams all over the back of him, so all it takes is one wrong move on that final lap. Campbell Adams will pounce, and so will Dennis Lamrock as well, who's still holding strong on those 10-lap old mediums. He's found a good rhythm behind the Williams driver, and Isaac Lee has not come close to an attack just yet. But DRS open once more, heading down this main straight. Will Dimas go for a move this time around? Campbell Adams getting closer and closer, but backs out of it eventually. And Exofox once again heading through turn 1, just gonna keep that position, and he really is holding up Alexander Dimas through this first sector, just trying to save as much battery as the Aston Martin possibly can to get that full tank for the final lap of this Grand Prix. And crucially for Exofox, this is now 2 very crucial laps. That penultimate lap, that exit out of the Casio triangle for the penultimate time, is make or break for the Aston Martin, and that determines where he's going to be heading into 130R on that final lap of action.
Yeah, so now the drivers are starting to see that the gaps are increasing a bit. Bogdan Moldovan, Gottschalk, Lighty, and Menno de Bever are seemingly starting to fall out of touch with your top 5, where Lead really has to try hard to get closer to the guys up ahead. Langrock is about 3.5 tenths away. He might still be in it, but up ahead, Exofox, Dimas, and Campbell Adams seem to be the prime suspects to look for, as they want that race win. They want to be all three, at least, on the top steps of the podium, as they are also in the top 4 of the standings currently. But now let's look at Alexander Dimas, because he's fallen further behind Exofox. I think he's done so a little bit on purpose, because he does not want Campbell Adams to overtake him now. But Campbell Adams surely is going to use quite a bit of ERS. Dimas will have to defend. Is he going to defend just enough? And it looks like he's held his place right where he wanted it. and no further position changes have happened for now. So as we are in the second to last lap, Dima's still in the right place. Needs to stay there, just needs to do that one more time, and he will be ready to strike on that final lap. So how well will he do it? He is in the right place, just a lap and a half to go, and then we'll find out if he's got what it takes to take his second race win of the season.
Yes, we certainly will. It's two drivers squabbling over this race victory and looking to take another race victory this season. Their second race wins of the season. But you still can't count out Campbell Adams in this equation. The man looking to pick up his first race win. The man leading the championship without a race victory. Must be so disheartening, but so pleasing as well to show how consistent you have been. But it's so disheartening to keep falling short time and time again, especially when you keep picking up pole positions in qualifying. So here we are then, heading into the Casio Triangle for the penultimate time here in Japan. And there goes Isaac Leitz, making an early move before the final lap even begins on Dennis Lamrock. Will he be able to get the move done? And there's a little bit of tyre banging between the pair, but look at the front of the field. Alexander Dimas in prime position to take that race lead away from Exafox. Here comes Campbell Adams past the Aston Martin as well. He manages to get that move done. This is now oh so crucial for the Williams band. Keep his head, keep his nerves all the way through 130R and into the Casio Triangle. That's where he needs to set up for the rest of this lap. That's going to be playing in his mind that this lap is so crucial just to set yourself up for an overtake. But Alexander Dimas could certainly pull away, and that could ruin any chances of the championship leader getting his first race win and his maiden race win in PCF4. So Exafox, will he be close enough for a lunge into the hairpin? I wouldn't think so. Heading into turn 10 for the final time, and it's got brilliant contact. Exafox sent Campbell Adams into a half spin. That is going to surely allow Alexander Dimas to just streak clear at the front, and Alexander Dimas has just been given a lifeline from Exafox here this evening. The Aston Martin tapping the back of Campbell Adams when he needed to the least. He just needed to get a good run because he could have followed the Williams driver through. But Alexander Dimas can just look in his rearview mirrors and see the Williams driver not getting close enough for a move into the Casio Triangle. The sigh of relief surely coming out of those Red Bull helmets, and the smile will be as wide as ever as Dennis Lamrock to the outside of Exafox. But he came into this season with no race wins in F4 last season. This season, he's doubled his tally with 2 race wins. Dimas takes the championship lead when he needs to the most. 2 rounds to go. 1 point separates the top 2. Alexander Dimas, that was a masterclass of a race, and how to manage a Grand Prix. You need to look at that Suzuka Grand Prix.
That was just perfectly executed all the way through from Dimas. We saw him practice with it earlier on. He knew when he needed to strike, and he also knew, I just need to go via the outside. I have enough speed, and that way there's no way for Campbell Adams to strike. He was still close all the way through up until that hairpin after that little bit of contact caused by Exafox. I wonder if there's going to be a steward's inquiry into that, because if there is and he gets penalized for it, that could drop him down from 3rd to potentially 9th as a race result, and that would severely hurt his championship hope. So let's see if there's any going to be any plays, any tactical plays in that sense, or if they're just going to keep it as is. But as it stands for now, also a great race from Langrock, but it will be the 2nd win of the season for Alexander Dimas, and that will move him 1 point, just 1 point ahead of Campbell Adams, who is indeed wondering now who on earth hit him on that final lap. But here we have the results once more. It's Alexander Dimas picking up the race win from the 2nd slot on the grid, ahead of Campbell Adams, followed by Exafox, Isaac Lee, Dennis Langrock from 10th on the grid to 5th, out of Bogdan Moldovan, Mano de Beva, Lighty in 8th, then it's Gottschalk and Kai in 10th, picking up the final few points. But I think especially Kai won't be happy with that. Same goes for Gottschalk. Those two, I think, we can pretty much rule out of championship contention. Now for Lighty, he is going to take a pretty decent drop backwards, but looks like the fight is heating up between Dimas and Campbell Adams. Exafox won't be away too far, about 13 points perhaps, and with 2 races to go, still out to play for him, but definitely Dimas and Campbell Adams have dealt the first punches with 3 races to go.
Yeah, that round was so crucial. And 2 heavyweights of Campbell Adams of Dimas have really just presented themselves on the big stage. Now, this is where things get oh so crucial. 2 races, and the next one is all about setting up that knockout blow in Bahrain. And for Dimas, he has done the first step of that process. He's got that championship lead away from Campbell Adams, and what a race it was.
Actually, hold on. Campbell Adams got pole position. They're level on points.
Oh yeah, they're level on points. So both of them have set themselves up for that first stage of the knockout blow. I forgot about the point for pole position here in PSGL. So, level on points, 2 rounds remaining. It is all certainly going to be to play for. The main 2, the 2 protagonists you really will see in this championship battle, and there's something drastic happens next time out in Las Vegas, are Alexander Dimas and Campbell Adams. The Williams versus the Red Bull. And it all comes down to this. One man in his first season of PSGL PCF4. That's Campbell Adams. The other in his second. And has just picked up his second victory in this tier. It's going to be so interesting to watch, Myth. Especially around a circuit like Vegas, where absolute chaos can occur thanks to that really long back straight.
Yeah, but what perhaps is even more interesting, we've talked so much about the driver standings that we're starting to forget about the constructor standings, and where there's a Williams in the lead of the championship, followed by a Red Bull, followed by an Aston Martin. I think by now it's still followed by an Alpine. In 5th, we're now going to have a McLaren. Now, McLaren actually has a hefty lead of all the other drivers. I believe it was about 38 points heading into this race alone, but that's because the pairing of Isaac Lead and Kai have done also well and constantly are scoring points. This time, not as much as they would have liked to, so the other drivers are going to get a little bit closer. But looks like, sorry about that, looks like they've got a firm grip on that constructor title this season for McLaren, but of course that one doesn't matter as much as your driver standing. So let's take another look at the results as they were before heading into this race, and then we'll add a little bit of provisional results onto that as we've just done already. But this time with the full graphics, it was 3 points ahead for Campbell Adams. He loses 4 in the race, but for taking pole position, he gets another, means they'll be leveled on 81 points. For Kai, he's only going to pick up 2, so he'll be on 53, so that's 28 points behind. That seems too much of a mountain to climb, given that there are a grand total of 36 points to gain if you win the race, pole position and fastest lap, which quite unlikely, especially given how close the pack is. For Gottschalk, he is going to pick up 2 points as well, but he is going to lose 11. So he's out. He's 34 points behind, so not mathematically out, but pretty much out. And for Kai, Kai we already covered. Isaac Leed's going to come through in 5th. So he is going to be around the 20 points behind mark. Still not fully out, but really needs to shine in Vegas to keep himself in it. So we're slowly going to start and see everything come down a bit more. I think now, really, Max, that it's going to be all eyes on Campbell Adams, Dimas, and Exafox. Lighty has had his shot now with a rather disappointing result here at Suzuka, but could turn things around surely in Vegas. But I think at this point, Max, he really has to.
Yeah, he really does. Vegas is such a big race for not only Lighty, but Bogdan Moldovan, Isaac Leet, and Kai as well. But especially for the man who came into this one 3rd in the standings. Lighty with a big task on his hands to keep his hopes alive heading into Bahrain. But your 3 main protagonists of this championship, of course, we got the 2 main ones, and then we got the side threat of Exafox. He's still lurking in the shadows for any opportunity at taking this championship. If it wasn't for those penalties, we could be talking a whole different story about Exafox, maybe even wrapping up the championship here this evening, or at least putting one hand on that trophy here this evening. But his kryptonite has been those penalties, getting caught up in unnecessary incidents, and that really can now allow Campbell Adams and Alexander Dimas to capitalise and try and take this championship away from him. Vegas, not next week, the week after, of course, we've got a break week next week, is going to be such a key and pivotal race in the championship fight. Could Campbell Adams pick up the race win when he needs to the most, or will he save it all the way until that season finale in Bahrain? What will happen to the championship protagonists? Myth. I know we have to wait an extra week, but I'm already so excited for Vegas. This championship is coming closer and closer to the wire than we even expected it to.
Yeah, and I think the best thing, considering that we have, at least if there's no penalties involved for Campbell Adams and Alexander Dumas, which I don't think there will be, because they're level on points, also automatically means that whatever happens in Vegas, we're going to have a championship fight decided in Bahrain in the final race of the season. So as Max already mentioned, we're going to have a break week first. We'll be back on January 23rd in Vegas, and then January 30th, our season finale in Bahrain, and that's where everything is going to be decided. So where normally the season starts in Bahrain, this time out at PSGL, it's going to end in Bahrain with an also thrilling fight for the title. And I think, Max, we couldn't have asked for anything better.
Oh, no, we couldn't. We could see the championship fight go all the way down to 1 point between Campbell Adams and Alexander Dimas, depending on finishing positions. It's going to be an absolutely chaotic and crazy Grand Prix. And to take it all the way to Bahrain, that is going to be even better, because that will be the last chance. That would be no holds barred, and everything and anything will happen in that Grand Prix for either of those drives to try and take the championship away. They will take all the risks they can just to try and get that one up on their opponent. But still, you can't count out the likes of Exafox, Moldovan, Leet and Lighty. They still have a say in this championship. We're talking about Campbell Adams and Dimas now, but heading into Bahrain, it could be a completely different story. And then heading out of it, we could see one of the outside favourites maybe clinch the title.
Yeah, so more we are going to find out about that in 2 weeks' time. We're, of course, at the start of the race. We'll take you through the standings and the stewards report from this race here at Suzuka, which was also close, thrilling at the end. An awful long queue that we've had there with cars lined up, all ready to strike. 9 cars in one DRS train. But in the end, the man who was the most patient managed to get the race win. His second race win of the season, his 5th podium of the season, which now puts him level with Campbell Adams, who's got 6 podiums to his name, but with 4 second places and 2 third places. No race win yet, but at the lead of the championship. Sadly for tonight, there won't be any interviews. We will definitely be pushing for those in the final 2 rounds. So when we return in 2 weeks' time, definitely make sure to look out for those as well. And then in 3 weeks' time, as Max already said, in Bahrain, we're going to have the championship decided, and we're going to crown a champion here at PSGL PCF4 in season 38. But I think, Max, that is going to be it from us for tonight. So thank you so much for tuning in once more. And in 2 weeks, we'll be back with Vegas. And then we're going to see the man, well, at least one man take the lead of the championship, most likely. We've now seen the fight cut down from 8 into 6. And in 2 weeks, we know how many will be going down to the wire in Bahrain to try and take the title. Have a very good evening, everyone, and see you then. Good night.